Hello, I'm Ciarán Lynch and welcome to OviCast, the Teagasc Sheep podcast. Each episode will bring latest insights, advice and technical updates for the sheep industry. In this episode, I catch up with Francis Connolly, who's run the hill and lowland system in County Sligo. Francis, who's also a participant in the Better Farm Sheep programme, talks us through some of the changes that he's made to his system over the past number of years. In the hill flock, we've seen an increase in ewe numbers. We've seen a big change around in breeding. The soft blackface ewe lambs being purchased and brought into the flock. Francis talks us through some of these changes, settling in some of the new stock, and the plans for the flock going forward. During that same period of time, we've seen an increase in his lowland flock as well, and a bit of a change around in breeding there also. He's implemented a paddock grazing system, and he discusses some of the initial challenges he faced with grassland management, particularly managing supplies while still lowly stocked, how he's improved overall management and increased output over the past number of years. We move on to discuss finishing store lambs, something there's been a crossover between both flocks. He discusses the store lamb trade this autumn and option carrying over lambs to finish in the new year. We start off, however, with Francis giving us a bit of background to where he's farming and the system he's running.
I'm in just Sligo. I have a hill and lowland. The hill is on Bin Bulbin there in Glencar. Just beside Glencar Lake there. I suppose on the hillside I run. When I started off, it was predominantly pretty much half and half of Mayo blackface ewes and Cheviot cross off the horned ewe as well. It worked pretty good. But I suppose from a point of view of moving things along, I had to streamline things and try and concentrate on more keeping it with blackface for the hill and worked away from there.
You're basically running you're just across the border from Leitrim. You're basically running on two separate blocks of ground. We're talking what, Francis, maybe 2 miles between each?
Yeah, it'd be exactly 5 miles between the two places. The lowland is just on the outskirts of Sligo, and the hill flock then is just down beside Glencar Lake. It's 5 miles out of Sligo there. So
like you were kind of alluding to it there, the kind of ewes you're running. You have about 200 ewes on that hill. The lowland flock, that's separate now, more or less. We're talking what they're...
Yeah, they're run as two separate entities, and the lowland is Suffolk and Texel cross, with kind of a slight movement away then towards Belclare cross ewes as well.
Maybe we'll just tease through the two of them for a couple of minutes. Like you're in the Better Farm programme as well, and look, we've seen some changes in that hill flock over the years. Firstly, I suppose, Francis, you've increased numbers in it, and it's probably like a lot of hill flocks, you've gone up with 60 or 70 ewes extra. It's hard enough to do that from within the flock. You've purchased ewes over the last number of years, maybe to get to that 200 number. You maybe just take us through them changes over the last couple of years.
Yeah, well, where I was, I suppose I didn't have enough of the horned ewes to breed back in my own flock. The age profile was gone high, and I wanted to change them around. And what I ended up doing for the first couple of years was I was buying in the hoggets, changing the age profile of the flock and the quality of it. And I'm now at a position going forward where I should be able to run a closed flock on it and breed my own replacements off the hill.
Just like on the ones you purchased in, Francis, look, you were saying there earlier you had a bit of a mixture between Cheviot and blackface. I suppose it's popular enough in that area too. What did you buy in?
Mayo blackface, all blackface horned hoggets, yeah. They seem to be kind of more suited to my setup. The Cheviots, while hardy and very hardy ewes, just the winter to go a bit more out of them than should have, and just the hornies are that bit more sturdier and hardier and fit to take the knocking in the back end of the year.
So you got younger ewes into the flock. Breeding back on them, you were keeping some of your own replacements obviously all along. What were you crossing them back with over the last 2 years or so?
I was breeding them back on a Mayo horned ram again. Also using texels, and I tried a bell clear with them as well for a while to do replacements for the lowland. Yeah, it was very slow. I wasn't getting enough ewe lambs off them for doing replacements for myself. The ewes that was being culled out was greater than the ewe lambs coming back in. So that ended up why I had to buy in the hoggets and replace them with those stock.
And look, it's that bit of a challenge. Do you hold on to the sake of numbers, or do you try and get rid of the poor performers and build up the numbers every time? Like the other challenge, Francis, like bringing in new lambs onto a new hill, get them settled in. How did you manage that?
It wasn't a huge problem. I'd buy them in and I'd settle them on the slopes just inside the fence of where they go out onto the commonage. They'd settle there for, I suppose, a month or maybe slightly over. At that point, then they'd be let out onto the commonage, but on a restricted basis. So they'd settle kind of in close to the headlands there. So they weren't long settling in along with my own sheep, and they were all kind of in a group, and it worked all right. Now, yeah, there was no problems now.
I suppose as ewe lambs, they're mixing with your own ewe lambs first before you let them out as well.
They were, yeah. They were all settled. Like 2 months will do an awful lot of settling on them at the same time if they're kind of grouped up in together, yeah.
So, like, look, you touched another bit there. You're producing some of them replacements for your lowland flock, and I suppose the fact you changed to blackface, you moved a bit more away from Cheviots. The lambs coming from that flock, you had to probably deal with them slightly differently too over the last number of years. We might touch on that as well, but are you still producing replacements for your lowland flock from that hill flock?
No, I'm not. I done that for a couple of years. It was working fine. It was grand. But the lowland flock now, I've kept the two of them kind of separate, and the lowland the replacements are coming off their own offspring as well. I had the bell clear with them on the hill, but while they were grand, they were nice lambs and all that, and done well enough. I didn't feel that they were getting the chance that they deserved, so they weren't coming big enough across when I'd be wanting to bring them back down. I'd have to leave them an extra year, leave them dry for a year, whereas now I can lowland off their own. I can go and put the ram with them in the first year.
Probably give you a bit more scope to in the hill flock for getting more replacements back in again, and maybe going a bit more terminal with a texel of that cleaning up.
Yeah. Well, look, I suppose it's all down to the markets too. Like last year and this year, it seemed to be a better way. The markets were great, and store lambs were a great trade, and it didn't really and truly. You were breeding for getting rid of, not for retaining, and so for that reason, this year there was no emphasis put on the bell clear with the horned rams this year at all, or last year.
So, like you touched it, you have a clean split between the two flocks. We'll just talk about the lowland flock for a minute. Like, I suppose when I got to know you first, you were running about 45, 50 crossbred ewes on the home farm. That's gone up a bit over the last number of years. You're sitting this year, somewhere heading for 100 with ewe lambs and all in it?
Yeah, there was 97 there ewes this year, but I culled out very, very hard and back down as far as 75. But I have 43 or thereabouts odd ewe lambs coming in, and they're all kind of 50 kilo-ish, just some of them slightly under, but they're in or around that, and they should be all well fit for to take the ram. So it's going to run there, be approximately, I suppose, just over 110 in it now this year.
Like, look, that's been a fair lift. Like, you're on heavy ground. Matching that and managing it, Francis, grass-wise, like, what else changed there over the last couple of years to allow you to carry that extra stock?
Well, I suppose the grassland management was the biggest change. When I came into the program and I was told that do a paddock system. I suppose at first I thought it was a bit of madness, but when you get in it, I suppose it's kind of like a bit of a drug, really. You see the benefits of it now. In the first year, I suppose it drove me mad because I probably didn't have enough ewes to run the paddock system. The paddocks are very efficient, and once you rotate them around quick enough, it's a great system, and grass comes back very quick and very thick. But you have to have enough ewes, and in the first year, that's where I kind of fell down. I hadn't got enough; they weren't eating them out quick enough.
So I suppose what you seen is what most see. You got a big lift in grass that first year, and then you couldn't keep it managed basically.
No, that was it. It was just flying. The grass was absolutely flying. Whereas they had been getting the run of the ground, they were unrestricted, so they were in the paddocks, and the rest of the ground was just turning into meadow on me straight away. There was a lump of it taken out for silage, but there's only so much silage you need. And I suppose I started falling into the old habit then at that stage of letting them run around a little bit more than they should have. Once the numbers came up a little bit, it just left it far easier to work the paddocks and work the system to steer. And it does work very well, but it takes the stock to manage it.
You have to have the sheep to graze it.
Yeah.
Like I suppose, Francis, the one area that we probably see a little bit of crossover between the two systems is in the whole area of lamb finishing. Like imagine the lowland flock, everything's basically kept to finish.
Yeah, everything on the lowland is generally finished and sent to the factory. Now, this year was slightly different. Ewe lamb trade was lively, and I sent off a lot early on of the ewe lambs. But generally speaking, they're finished off the farm to the factory. It works pretty well now.
Like in terms, you mentioned the trade be good. In terms of trade being good, store lamb trade, I'm thinking the hill flock here has been particularly good this year. And I know, look, previous years, you've finished lambs indoors. What has the system been for them this year?
Yeah, no more than that. This year, I went off with store lambs early on. It just wouldn't have paid. There's absolutely no way it would have paid to keep them. The money was too good. The only thing I'm sorry is that I didn't go with more of them. I have a lot left over, and at the minute, all the ram lambs that's left are in the shed. They're being fed now on meal and a lock of hay. They're thriving away good on now, all right, yeah. But I suppose on hindsight, they should have been gone.
So, what kind of weights are you hoping to put them blackface lambs into? You've been doing it for a couple of years, so you've good experience at it.
Yeah, the blackface lambs currently now they're approaching 40 kilos, and I want to get them into about 46 kilos or thereabouts, maybe 47. They are that little bit slower, but they have the cover on them, and they will make it. Yeah.
So you're pushing for a good carcass weight with them.
Yeah.
You're probably finishing them possibly a bit earlier than traditional store lamb finishing farms. You're going with them this tail end of the year. What about carrying some of them over into the spring, Francis? You've done a bit of that previously? What's the plans for this year?
Yeah, I've done that pretty much nearly every year up until last year. I carry over a lot of lambs into about, I suppose, the end of January, early February. But last year was the first year I didn't, and it's just that I went with so many of them as stores early in the year. It left me in a position that I could finish them off a little bit further on the grass before I put them into the shade, and finished that a bit quicker than within the shade, and it was grand. This year, it'll be a similar situation this year. There was a lot of the lambs gone. Now, all that's left out are a lot of ewe lambs, and I plan within the next week really to put them in and finish them. They are weighing approximately 40 kilos, most of them. So it'll not be a huge ask to get them to push along and bring them onto the target weight and get them out the door. More than likely they'll be gone before Christmas, hopefully now, but it will depend really.
I suppose there's a bit of a balancing act there too. Like housing space starts to come into it a little bit as you go into spring as well. So although carcass weights are going up, price might be going up. It's a balancing act that we too for most farms.
Well, it depends. It depends really when I plan to put in the ewes. Last year I put them in towards the end of December. This year I'm not sure. I'd say now I'll get out as far as January with them. But I have the space for them. It's just I prefer to have the lambs gone before the ewes go in at the same time. It's just leaves things that little bit handier and a little bit easier. But, it's a juggling act too.
Look, at the moment, Francis, in terms of breeding with the flock, in the lowland flock, the rams, are they gone out at the moment? And maybe just take us through what's gone out with the ewes.
Yeah, I've put out the rams with the lowland flock yesterday. And I put out a bell clear with just a small number for replacements for the lowland flock. And I put out New Zealand Suffolk then with the remainder of the flock. Now I haven't used a New Zealand Suffolk before, so it's I'll be interested to see how they turn out now. The bell clear worked very, very well last year. Indeed, he threw out an awful lot of lambs. It was the first year I had so many triplets out of them. But you wonder whether it's a blessing or a curse to have a load of triplets.
That we might follow up with podcasts in spring with you on that one. But you're basically going for that New Zealand Belclare cross yodel in with the flock going forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Belclare is kind of what I'm trying to bring into the flock from a prolificacy point of view. Now I haven't tried the New Zealand Texel before, but I'll probably retain a lot of ewe lambs of him as well, just to see what they're like now.
Just ewe lambs, you're joining them at the moment, or are you going to hold back for a wee while with them?
I'm aiming to have them lambing around somewhere between the 1st and 5th of April, so it'll be kind of the 5th.
Another week or 2 years.
5th of November onwards. Yeah, it'll be about 3 weeks leave them back about 3 weeks.
And just like the hill flock, obviously they're going to be a bit later. Where did they fall into that cycle?
The ram goes out with them on the 5th of November. And usually it's always the 1st of April that I start them lambing. The days get a little bit longer, and things gets a little bit brighter, and grass is starting to grow that little bit at that stage. By the time they're lambing, there's usually a bit of a burst on things, but no, it doesn't always fall into plan. So no, I do leave them till the 1st of April. I think it's time enough for them.
So you'll have them and the old lambs more or less coming in together next year.
Yeah, they'll be banging along together. Yeah.
Just with the hill flock, obviously you're going to go back blackface with them again. Cleaning up with a Texel, or did you pull off a batch of ewes separate to run with Texel ram this year?
There'll be a batch. It'll be kind of half and half. There'll be half of the flock going with the blackface and half of the flock going with the Texels. Yeah. Happy enough with the way they turn out. I
suppose it's all about keeping the system very simple.
It is, yeah. Well, look at it. They're for getting rid of. They're not for retaining through the Texel, and carcass wise, they tend to be that little bit easier to. I know some people say that the Texels that doesn't be that easy to finish, but I find them that they come off the mountain that little bit better, and they're just that little bit easier to push along at the back end. And it works. Look, it works for me.
Francis, great to catch up with you. Thanks for giving us an insight on what's happening on the farm at the moment and some of the changes you made.
Okay, Ciarán. Thanks a million.
Okay, we're going to have to finish things up. Again, I'd like to thank Francis for taking time out to join us and giving us a bit of background to the system he's running, some of the changes he made, and an honest account of where he's at the moment. For updates on performance from Francis' flock and any of the rest of the flocks in the Better Farm programme, keep an eye on the website. Go up on a regular basis. You'll also see them in the newsletter, and we'll hopefully have a few more video updates coming from them in the coming weeks. That's it for me. Again, for any updates on the sheep programme, keep an eye on our Twitter page at Teagasc Sheep. I'm Ciarán Lynch. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe and listen in to all our episodes.